Hello and thank you for joining the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakum. Today on the program, Senate confirms Major General Faruk Yahaya as the Chief of Army Staff. President Buhari approves federal government's team to engage with Twitter over suspension of its operations in Nigeria. And later on the show, 48 hours after lifting travel ban, United Arab Emirates imposes another suspension on flights from Nigeria indefinitely. I'll be hanging out with Adewale Adeoye and Tony Uwaji. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. The process of changing guard at the Nigerian Army hierarchy is now complete, and the new helmsman can concentrate on the task at hand. The Senate has confirmed the appointment of Major General Faruk Yahaya as the Chief of Army Staff. Yes. The Red Chamber took the decision following consideration of the reports of its Joint Committee on Defense and Army, led by Senators Aliyu Wamako and Ali Ndume. He is now tasked with filling the shoes of late General Ibrahim Atahiru, who died in a plane crash in Kaduna. Tony, Major General Faruk Yahaya is coming at a time that the country is having faced with serious security challenges across board. And as the Chief of Army Staff, he has his job cut out for him. Yeah, he has the service. Yeah. He must not perform in any way below standard.
Yes, I think that was the main reason the president appointed him, and letting his seniors exit the force. You know, I think he spotted something in him. He's been at the theater of war for a while now, so it's not coming from.
He was the field commander of Operation Nadi Kai.
So he's been on ground for a while. So I want to believe he knows his onion, and considering the fact that he is coming at a time Nigeria is facing a challenging times with insecurity, you know, banditry, kidnapping, and all that. It's been confirmed, you know, and we congratulate him for it. I think he should hit the ground running immediately. No time to waste at all. We want a change in strategy, you know, because all parts of Nigeria at the moment is being ravaged by all manner of criminal activities. So he's coming, there's a lot of expectation from Nigerians, and nobody's going to take anything less from him. If you watch how he emerged, the number of senior officers that had to go, in other words, the president believes in them. The commander-in-chief believes he can do it. So he has no reason whatsoever not to act. Nigerians need a change, because what we need, what is currently ravaging this country right now, and we need solution to it immediately, is insecurity. All parts of this country are facing it right now. And then the police seems to be, you know, overwhelmed. Because ordinarily we shouldn't be talking about the military here. This is a civilian, this is democratic.
I was discussing with Jide yesterday, and I asked him that the school in Kebbi that they attacked, they had 22 policemen on ground.
That's
what happened?
Okay,
we've heard they were overwhelmed too.
Yes,
but we didn't hear of any resistance.
I think what we need now is training and retraining. Apart from the weapon, if we say, I've heard many times, the weapon they came with is sophisticated. We have our own, you know, all manner of excuses. So even if you have that weapon and we are not trained, this is another kind of, you know, insecurity going on. Attack on schools. If this is not checked, schools in northern Nigeria will cease to exist. So it's not about putting 200,000 police personnel in a school. It's about equipping them and training them on the current trends. It's a new attack entirely, you know, because it could happen anytime.
Wale, now, looking at the Chief of Army Staff, this new Chief of Army Staff, cost 35, And we expect that 37, sorry, beg your pardon. Course 37, we expect that we'll be bringing something new to the table, and Nigerians clamored for the change of service chief before the late Atahiru. Unfortunately, General Atahiru wasn't able to settle down in office before he had that plane crash and died.
Yeah.
Now we have General Faruk Yahaya.
I think he's coming in at a very difficult moment for the country. He has a huge task ahead of him. But when you look at his background, he has age on his side. He's 55 years old, so he's still agile. He was born in 1966.
5 years to go.
Yeah. And he's from Sokoto State, so he grew up in that environment, where we have all this kind of conflict going on. Then he's an infantry officer, which I think is an advantage. And he was a theater commander of Hadin Kai, that was against insurgency and counter-insurgency.
Yes, formerly Lafia Dole.
Yes, in the Northeast. He was also former GOC, First Division. And he was...
First Division, Kaduna.
Yeah, he was also former Chief of Staff, Headquarter at the Joint Task Force in the Northeast. So if you look at his career, he attended the NDA regular course, and he also attended Stanford University. So if you look at his, he has a glowing career, which I think makes him better positioned to handle this kind of job. We're also glad that there was no politics in terms of the confirmation by the Senate. It shows there is a kind of harmony compared with what we used to have in the past.
No, I think it's even a new trend for the National Assembly to be screening service chiefs.
Yes,
it's a fallout of Festus Keyamo's case.
Yes, so I think it's a very good thing. At least they were able to confirm. So he has a kind of a legitimate platform, to more democratic platform that is representing us. But I think he cannot do the job alone. He needs, like Tony said, equipment, and most importantly, intelligence. Part of the problems we have is that most of these terrorists carry out these activities, then we react. So most of the time we are defensive. We need to be offensive. We need to. The beauty is to prevent these actions from taking place in the first place. And it means at the planning stage, when they are organizing, you are able to get the information and tackle, them at the boarding stage. So I think it needs to improve on in the area of intelligence. And I believe with the support that is going to get from the political will, the right political will, I believe that we look up, to fundamental changes in the years ahead. Like we are seeing not just fighting Boko Haram now, we are seeing new variant of terrorism. So it's a big challenge for him. But I think with the right support from the troop, we hope to see a lot of achievements in the few years ahead.
Anthony, now looking at what is on ground, what they are faced with, and we are faced with the Northeast. The Northwest is not, we don't have good news in the Northwest or the North Central either. And banditry has even penetrated into the southern part of Nigeria. I was told some guys that were building the railway between Lagos and Ibadan.
Kidnapped.
They were kidnapped. The security, they had police with them. The policemen were killed
before they were kidnapped.
So,
it shows that we will not overburden the Chief of Army Staff. We have other security apparatus in Nigeria. Nigerian police is there, those civil defense and all that. We have the Air Force. We have the Navy. I think the time has come for a sitting down and coordination between these arms of the different arms of the armed forces. The time has come for us to sit down and not. I commend the fact that he came from a very rich background. He understands what he's coming for, but then this goes beyond him. We need the police. I keep saying we need the police. This is not the military regime.
The
police is like we have shifted. Somebody is not talking about the police again.
They are meant to fight external aggression or anything.
Exactly. They've taken over the function, the job of the police.
Yeah, so that is what
we should be looking.
What's the challenge now?
Yeah, I know because of course we know the strength of the military, but we should start looking at reforming the Nigerian police and giving them the necessary tool to perform. We're happy so far, and we thank God that do I really say thank God? Yeah, okay, we thank God for life so far. But what is happening in Nigeria goes beyond, just putting the burden on the feet of the Chief of Army Staff. The Chief of Army Staff has been appointed. We're happy about it. We have other armed forces. We have the Air Force. We have the Navy, as I said before. We have the police. We have the civil defense. What we need now is a coordination. I know the Chief of Defense Staff is doing a lot, but there must be synergy between these people. It started in the north initially, but now it's spreading to all parts of the country. And then what you are doing now is stretching the army. You are posting them to the south, southeast, southwest, and and the northern part of the country. They've been there. They've been back. Okay, before the advent of so-called banditry and other, what you call them, unknown government and all that. The military has been there. Before the incursion into the east,
this video is saying is when it was announced as the Chief of Army Staff. As
particular video?
No, as the commander,
announcement, yes.
When it was, yes. As an active field commander.
He's active. I think we need, for me, I don't think let me just put it this way. I don't think the number of soldiers we have today can battle the challenges ahead. Likewise the police. I don't see why we cannot yearly recruit men into the Nigerian armed forces and the Nigerian police. What is difficult in a country where we have less than 500, apart from the Chief of Army, Faruk Yahaya and all that, apart from his appointment, he cannot perform magic. Let's move ahead. We need to recruit more men, more soldiers to battle this war. We are facing war in Nigeria today.
I have Danjuma from Nasarawa State.
Yes.
Yes, thank you for joining us, Danjuma.
Thank you very much for continuing to contribute.
All right, go ahead, please.
I'm so delighted that Chief of Army Staff has been confirmed by the National Assembly. The tax is enormous, like you have rightly said. The challenge that we are facing in this nation is that the number of armed forces are not enough at all compared to the millions of Nigerians that are undergoing through these security challenges. You can imagine the statistics of a policeman, that a policeman will be attached to 700 people. So it doesn't make sense. Honestly speaking, we need to sink more funds to security men and fight this battle fearlessly. And you know this issue of kidnapping, because the Boko Haram came up with the idea of abolish the school education in Nigeria. And I'm telling you, these bandits have
Thank you for your contribution.
Let me finish first. Sorry. What I was trying to say is this. In as much I will sit down here and congratulate the confirmation of the news Chief of Army Staff, we need to, if it's yearly, it will be good for Nigeria. We are growing in population. You can't have less than 500,000 soldiers in the Nigerian army. You can have, how many policemen do we have? I don't see why we cannot be recruiting at least, let's say we have 2 million soldiers, 2 million policemen. That's why you go around everywhere, you don't see them because you are overwhelmed. I know some spots in Lagos here where you used to see pinned down police presence. In the past, you don't see them anymore because they've been moved outside the states. So the demand for armed men is growing every day. which means that government needs to recruit. We have the resources to do it. If you have, I mean, what is 500,000? Just as he said, when a politician has over 10, is having DSS, is having soldiers, is having policemen, and most times you see civil defense, you know, giving him protection, while you can have 1,000 policemen, a policeman guarding 1,000 Nigerians. So what I think, for me, we need to recruit more men. We have less of them.
We never envisaged this situation that, Wale, that we are going to turn our military guys to play the role of policemen across internal security, to provide internal security across the country. Today, as I'm talking now, I'm sure that these guys are involved in over 31 states of the Federation. They're involved with Boko Haram, and they're involved in bandits. Now, that has reduced the responsibility of the police, and substantially, you can see that our policemen, they're not even standing up to their primary responsibility.
If you look at the traditional role of the military, it is to protect the integrity, the sovereign integrity of the country, the sovereignty of the country, against external aggression. So they are not supposed to be involved in civil strife ordinarily. But unfortunately in Nigeria, for the past, since 2009, in fact since independence, I think we've only had skirmishes with Cameroon. In 1981, in the 1990s, we have not actually been engaged in any external war. So the military had been preoccupied with fighting its own people. The civil war that lasted for 30 months, you know, then various uprisings everywhere and all that. So the military has been psychologically conditioned to be fighting, to find the service station fighting, you know, the people they are supposed to protect. And I think that is an eroding of history. And we need to create that paradigm shift. The army is supposed to fight external aggression. Fortunately for us, we don't have a neighbor that is powerful enough to threaten Nigeria, irrespective of the bilateral relation between Cameroon and some other French countries. So we don't actually have a situation where we could enter into a major war with our neighbors. But unfortunately, we have been fighting ourselves. And I think this is quite unfortunate. And like Tony has said, the population of the Nigerian army, compared with our needs and aspirations, is low. Pakistan has about 1.2 million soldiers. And the population of Pakistan about 206, almost the population of Nigeria. And in Nigeria, we are talking about less than 500 soldiers. Pakistan has another 550,000, you know, just reserve. I don't know what Nigeria is doing with our reserve. Because reserve, when people restart from the army, you still call upon them to play one role or the other. But as a future,
do we have reserve here?
We should naturally have reserve.
We even retired them prematurely.
Yes. So you know, consistently, the army has taken over the role of the police. And when we are talking about fighting terrorism, it's not just about having a huge army. We must be able to attack the breeding ground of terrorism, which is corruption, poverty, hunger, you know, nepotism. When people are hungry, they are desperate to do anything. If we don't address joblessness on the part of our youth, most of these people that are active terrorists, they are young people from the age of 14, 15, 16. That age, you know, your heart is vulnerable. You know, you can be recruited for anything. You are green, you don't have children, you don't have property. You know, you are an adventurous age that you can be recruited to do anything. You know, so we really need to address the problem of youth unemployment, poverty, hunger, corruption. If you don't tackle these problems, and we're just talking about buying equipment, there will be more terrorist groups rising up across the country.
Tony, do you agree with Wale? Because Wale has just touched a very important point now that, okay, beyond the military option, that the root cause, poverty, especially up north. You know, a lot of people will tell you that, you know, we allowed it to fester a long time. That
of course.
The issue of poverty and unemployment, youth unemployment.
Of course, you have to tackle the root cause. It's not about buying gun, buying machine gun, APC and all that. Something is leading to this. Really, let's be sincere to ourselves. Something. If you're engaged, you know, you have a job doing. You can't go doing those stuff, you know.
Okay, Tony, let me quickly take a caller from Ikorodu. Wale is calling us, Olale from Ikorodu. Thank you for joining us,
Good evening, Ayo.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, God bless you, Ayo. And good evening to Mr. Dewey and the other gentleman.
Good evening.
Please, let us be sincere. Let us be sincere with ourselves. In those days, we used to
step away from your monitor.
Anti-riot police. Okay, they are the ones, not this conventional black upon black police that you think can help to quell insurrection.
Wale, you're very close to your monitor. There's no how we can.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. If you're gainfully employed, you won't have time for this. Go to, of course, you know the population over there. And first and foremost, if we really want to tackle this thing headlong, we have to create that employment. It's very important. Yeah. Where our industries, they are not.
We're told Boko Haram,
so it's easy to recruit them. Yes. And most times you don't even recruit them with huge funds. Yes, so it's easy. Even we don't need to go too far. Within us here, it's everywhere. So if we don't tackle this, it will keep reoccurring. It will keep reoccurring. Another thing I want to look at is this issue of welfare for men, you know, for men of the Nigerian military, Monies in the past, monies are appropriated for welfare, at times too, for weapon and all that, and it never gets to them. The history we still have, I mean, you know, it's still there. It never gets to them. That is one thing I will pray, or I wish that this present Chief of Army Staff should take a look at. Junior officers, they look up to you. You must, their welfare matters a lot. We've seen cases where they abandon their jobs. They abandon their mission. They run away. They are not taken care of. They eat on, not taking care of their uniform. They are feeding. And you're supposed to, I mean, occasionally visit. It's not about sitting in Abuja and sending junior officers there. You must occasionally, you must fraternize with them once in a while. You must go there. You must feel the pain. You must feel the pulse. You must feel what they are going through, and take care of them. Otherwise, whatever we're saying here is a waste of time, because that has been one reason. It's not about Mr. President. He may give those things. No, he never gets them. He tried. No, last week I recommended him for that move last week. It's very, very good. Occasionally, so it doesn't look as if they are abandoned to do this work. They must get all manner of support that they desire if they must function effectively.
Okay, I have retired MWO Kazim on the line. Thank you for joining us from Lagos.
Thank you.
What is that MWO?
That is Master Warrant Officer.
Okay.
Master Warrant. It's a warrant officer.
Okay, please go ahead, please.
Okay. The war my contribution is this. The battle we have right now is a guerrilla war. It's a guerrilla war. Guerrilla war means the people you are fighting, they are not in uniform. They put on a civilian uniform. And with the civilian uniform, you don't know who is your enemy as a soldier. Who is your enemy as a soldier, you don't know. To fight a guerrilla war, number one, you need a retired personnel who will volunteer for this. And they are standing as a spy to give the personnel information about the formation and position of your enemy. Then number two, you need a sniper who will be positioned everywhere within the enemy territory in order to bring down the enemy that were coming to every area. That is the only way you can fight the guerrilla war. You need an undercover personnel, retired personnel, who will be there to give information. With that, we'll be able to go far in this battle. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your contribution. Because a lot of people, they've asked us that, since 2009, that if it were to be other countries, they would have succeeded in infiltrating the camp of ISWAP and Shekau's Boko Haram. People would have posed as if they are one of them. They would have joined them, and they would have seen their modus operandi and everything, and would have used that opportunity to hit them where it hurts.
I think the last speaker made very valid points. Guerrilla warfare, in guerrilla warfare, you are fighting people,
Unknown forces.
Unseen forces. It's more or less like buzzing in the shadows. And there might be a market woman can be working for guerrilla fighters. Orange seller can be working for guerrillas, for terrorists. Somebody who supplies you, with food, who is sell food to soldiers, they can be an agent of, And when somebody walks very close to you, he's not putting on uniform, or he puts on suit, three with a tie. It might be a guerrilla person. So it's a very complex war. But you see, we need to learn from other countries where guerrilla warfare had been defeated. And like you said, you need the support of local communities. It's very key. So and that's why the army must improve its human rights records. If the communities don't trust you, if somebody commits an offense and you just hand over everybody, they won't give information any longer. So you need support of local communities, and then those are the people that can give you the information that you really need.
All right, we'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll talk more. Stay with us. It's your favorite news and current affairs program, Journalist Hangout, reaching you live from TVC News here. I say I have Tony Uwaje and Wale Adeoye in the studio. Now, a chain of dialogue has opened between Nigeria and the micro-blogging platform, Twitter. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the composition of a team to engage with Twitter over the recent suspension of its operations in the country. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, will head the team, which has the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Ministers of Communications and Digital Economy, Foreign Affairs, Works and Housing, and Minister of State for Labour and Employment, as well as other officials as members. Twitter had earlier wrote to President Muhammadu Buhari on the way forward. Wale? I was thinking that this thing will be resolved earlier than this, that it wasn't going to take as long as this. But right now...
Well, it's a good thing that at the end of the day we are coming back to the round table for discussion, because two wrongs do not make a right. The ban on Twitter and then the position of the presidency. I mean, certain decisions that the government takes, that the government also may suffer the consequences. This is one example. Because Twitter is for mass communication, which is very useful for the government itself. It is for getting feedback from the people, and it's also for advertisement about government products, about government policies. And you have about 30 million Nigerians that are using Twitter. Almost about 10% of the entire population of Twitter users all over the world. Twitter has become a kind of business venture for a lot of Nigerians. Twitter itself has about over 5,000 employees, and many of them are Nigerians. So we understand the feeling of the federal government that, look, but at the end of the day, you have to balance, the scale of preference. That which one will be of, utilitarian good, the highest good of the highest number. So banning Twitter, I don't think was the right decision that the government should have taken. And in any case, when the president said Twitter had to be banned, you need to ask yourself, can the words of the president automatically becomes law? No. We have the National Assembly that if you want to make law, you go to the National Assembly. And there are certain statements that, we see that contradict the fundamentals of the Nigerian Constitution. And even Article 19 of Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which emphasizes the right to free speech using any medium like Twitter. So I think that decision was taken in a hurry by the government within 72 hours. And I hope this dialogue will open up the room for reflection, that at the end of the day, both parties will agree, so that, even APC members in millions who are using Twitter, will not be affected by that decision.
Totally. When you look at the bone of contention here, there was a time even the federal government, through Alhaji Lai Mohammed, accused Twitter of allowing people that are bent in causing disunity in the country to use their platform to,
opportunity.
Yes, an opportunity. They mentioned the NSAS protest. They mentioned Nnamdi Kanu on his tweets, and severally before Twitter started taking this down. Do you think the federal government was wrong to have suspended the operation?
I think federal government was absolutely wrong to have suspended Twitter in the first instance. What they are doing right now is what they're supposed to have done then. Setting up a federal government, because this is a delegation of the Minister of Information, Minister of Works and Housing, Minister of Digital Communication and Digital Economy,
Foreign Affairs.
Foreign Affairs. It's like,
Works and Housing.
We ought to have done this the moment the federal government noticed that bias from Twitter. Take this step rather than banning it. Because there are some Nigerians who are doing legit business on Twitter. Majority of them, they have no business with what's happening with federal government. They are not even involved. They are not interested. They are just there doing their legit business. Now, you ban Twitter. When you ban Twitter, you just made some enemies. People who are not even involved in this kind. Now they are interested. I think we usually put the cart before the horse in this country in solving issues. This is what the federal government ought to have done earlier. And I'm telling you, Twitter would have listened. I know the president may have issues. Really, I saw but that approach was absolutely wrong. Not this age and time. Not this age and time. It was absolutely wrong, and there's no way you can paint it and tell me it was right. It's a very big mistake on the part of government, and I'm happy that they're suddenly realizing the fact, because everybody is using it. The presidency is using it. The president himself is using it. The media unit, that's where it sits. And it's a tool for mass communication. You don't need to call press. The benefits are there. I don't want to start mentioning it. So they made a very big blunder. And the earlier we resolve this thing, the better. So the people who are using it for other means, other than governance, politics and all that, can go back to their life. Some people are feeding through that channel. So it's absolutely wrong. We never support it.
A lot of people will argue that even the APC government, when they were coming into office, they deployed all this microblogging network and, to push their campaign and everything. Right now, it's as if the APC-led government, they're the vanguard of, clamping down on freedom of speech and views of the people.
Yeah, I think the Minister of Information is one of the most efficient drivers of information at the time that we had APC in opposition. It was a machine, an unbeatable machine, and one of the instruments he used was the social media. So, and we don't know what will happen in the future. That those in power today may also find themselves in opposition. So, when you are taking any decision, you have to look at the long-term impact, the lifelong impact, on even your own interests. And for the fact that they are setting up this kind of high delegation shows how powerful Twitter is.
Just break it down to Nigeria. Because, the Minister of Information and Culture,
it shows that Twitter is not a
Lai Mohammed,
ignored.
the Attorney General, that is Mr. Malami, and Minister of Justice and Minister of Communication and Digital Economy. That is Mr.
It's a very powerful delegation.
Foreign Affairs, Minister of Foreign Affairs, and works announcing that Babatunde Raji Fashola,
being a lawyer.
Yes, Oyema. Yes, and Minister of State for Legal and Affairs there. That's Mr. Festus Keyamo, who is also a senior
three senior advocates there that I
so basically these are
it shows how important Twitter is. And we must also recognize that Twitter that is into business, I don't think Twitter can afford to also lose the Nigerian market.
No, they can't lose.
Because Twitter is worth about $35 billion, you know. And
they need the Nigerian market.
They need the Nigerian market. So there should be a kind of compromise.
So that they have over 40 million.
Yeah, you know, so
you're correct.
We hope that this negotiation will bring the best for Nigerians.
We're looking forward to
and
that.
Generally, in terms of freedom of expression, a lot of people have said, even before this Twitter event, that the federal government of Nigeria have been doing so much to make sure that, you know, people cannot. How would I say it? They want to regulate, like the media now. We are heavily regulated. We have the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission.
You're heavily regulated. Everybody.
Academic the turn, if you step out or turn, it's 5 million
line, yes.
Or
that is
your license
be withdrawn. Could be threatened. That is what it is right now. You know, we cannot bend. We cannot. Let's not. You know, that is what it is right now. You can, to an extent, you can't regulate the media. You can't. You can't. You're not even. You're not even putting your government in the, you know, it's not good for your government, the image of your government. It is not good for the image.
Okay, I have Kesandu calling us from Imo State.
Good evening.
Good evening, Kesandu.
Good evening, everybody.
Yes.
Let me start by saying I feel so embarrassed that my country, giant of Africa, the most populous black nation in the world, is preoccupied with issue of Twitter ban. It is quite unfortunate. Is Twitter responsible for the unemployment we're having in Nigeria? Is Twitter responsible for the bad road and bad governance we have in Nigeria? The answer is no. Like you gentlemen rightly said, this same
Kesandu there, he has made some valid points.
So it's not good for the image.
We should rearrange our priorities.
I understand.
Right now, with what we are faced with.
So that's exactly what they're saying.
Yes,
so
if Sheikh Gumi can come out to tell Nigerians that there are over 100,000 bandits out there, that means I saw a picture of the students that were abducted, and I saw the bandits that they were holding general purpose machine guns, and I saw young men that cannot be more than 21 behind them. They held on to RPGs, and if you see the, what do they call it, the magazine
around there,
and
that's a bullet.
And looking at their faces, I was dead sure that these guys cannot be up to 25 young men.
That's the sad reality. That's what we're facing today. And we must all rise up to defeat it. If we fail, the country goes down. If we fail to do the needful, don't look at faces. And please, I think it's high time. I'm deviating a bit to that question. I think it's high time. Government, please, can you call Sheikh Gumi? I think he knows more. He knows more. The recent one now is saying that if you cannot accommodate bandits, then schools should remain closed. If an order is like it's coming for, he knows something that the country doesn't know. So why is he being protected?
Again, our young men, you know, the young Nigerians, they seem to have lost hope and confidence in the way government handled this Twitter issue. And they're saying that, look, this should be the least of your problem right now. Setting up this high power committee that this energy should be dissipated in creating employment and trying to stem the tide of insecurity across the country.
Yes. If somebody has a headache, the solution is not to cut off the head. You know, because you are going to spite yourself. So banning Twitter, are you going to ban Facebook? Are you going to buy text messaging? Because are you going to ban Nigerians, millions of them abroad, using Twitter, who are not even living in Nigeria? So then, if you don't give us good governance, are you saying people must not talk? So people, you can't bottle up people's grievances. It will always find an outlet. What we are working towards is that it shouldn't find outlet through violence. People should be able to express themselves. But when you say people can do, you put a ban, a seal, you cannot talk. That is what gives rights to people taking into violence and all sorts of things. It's a democracy. We have elected them out of our own free will. They must allow us to express ourselves. You don't expect people to be commending people in government everywhere all the time. People will confront you, and that's why we say uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. You must have the body to receive insults, to receive attack, because your salary is being paid from the taxpayers, sweat. You are free accommodation, free everything. So let me listen to
Shuaibu Aruna is calling us from Kaduna State. Thank you for joining us, Shuaibu.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening. Please go ahead with your conversation.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying your program.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, please.
My contribution on Twitter ban. My contribution on Twitter ban is that instead of the government to ban Twitter completely. Hello.
Just go ahead, please.
Yeah, instead of the government banning Twitter completely, I think if there is anybody having maybe posting anything that the government is against, the government can equally call Twitter and one Twitter that please, you can at least block that person's account. So Twitter can block individuals' accounts. That is my own take.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah. Because if you look at the Committee of Nations, that's already the Twitter and all this, some social media, microblogging sites that they've been let's say like North Korea, say India, China,
funny countries, they have alternative. India has
They have alternative.
That started only recently with over 3 million users. As we speak. China has a Sina Wedo with about 126 million, 250 million users.
One do we have?
So we don't have an alternative. And why China is not allowing Twitter is for economic reasons. Because if Twitter, more for economic reasons and also for political reasons, if Twitter goes into China, it's going to take over the market and the money will not go to China. So it's for both economic reasons and political reasons. We cannot imitate such countries. Our own situation, our own history is different. And we cannot afford to confront Western nations. They are our creditors. They are our allies. We can't take the same position taken by China or India.
Yes.
We cannot.
Yes.
And finally, okay, Tony, you want to make
in addition to that, when people abuse or when subscribers abuse a platform, like for instance Twitter, there are ways to go about it. You report it. Twitter cannot just yank off your post. There's a channel. It's when you exploit and it doesn't work, and you must have evidence that we did this and Twitter refused. That is when you can then say, okay, this is what. That's when you can say there's an element of bias. That's the mistake government made here. And I hope by the time they resolve this, we won't go back to that same route again.
Okay, 48 hours after the United Arab Emirates, UAE, lifted the travel suspension on Nigeria, the Middle East country has made U-turn. It has suspended flights to and fro from Lagos and Abuja from the 21st of June indefinitely. The UAE did not explain what influenced its decision. Just 2 days after reinstating air travel between the two countries. This is a country that I know that Lagos-Dubai route is one of the hottest around the world. And they're not looking at even the economic implication to their country, because the way Nigerians go to Dubai to enjoy for tourism and everything, and for whatever case they have against us, they're able to stand firm, and it's been on for months. We thought those respites in the last 48 hours, now to be told now that, look, it is indefinitely.
I think the UAE is one of the most profitable routes for many Nigerians in recent times. It's a new development. It wasn't like that before. Most people going to Europe either
It used to
Western
be Lagos, London.
Yes,
But right now, Dubai is just the destination.
Airport, you know.
Even wherever you are going,
Yes,
you could afford to just stop over
so
in
it's
Dubai
an advantage
before.
for UAE. There are about 15 flights every week. That's a lot. So many Nigerians that want to go to UAE. And of course,
They are one of the best airlines. in the
yes,
world,
we have
Emirates.
a large population of Nigerians that want to go to UAE to live, because it's an emerging power in the Middle East, with just a population of less than 10 million people, with GDP of about over $420 billion. It's a very rich country. So a lot of Nigerians that can no longer go to Europe, they want to go to UAE. And it's not difficult to get the visa. You can get it online. So this ban is not for all Nigerians, for categories of Nigerians. They are still open for people with diplomatic passport, and also people with what they call golden visa. You know, special people who are doing business and all that.
We are talking about Nigerians going in.
Largely, I think UAE appears to be negotiating from a position of strength. They know that it is that Nigerians want to travel. How many people are coming from UAE to Nigeria? Because the decision taken by Nigeria, to me, I think it was a fair decision, because it was based on discrimination. You know, COVID, they are talking about new strain of COVID, and then they want to ban Nigerians from travel. But the fact of it that we are not epicenter of COVID-19. So there are so many complaints by travelers that they suffer a lot of discrimination. And I think as a responsible government, there should be some measure of, you know, resistance. So the Nigerian government complained, but I think that also prompted them to now say, okay, we are banning you. After the ban, I'm surprised that they had to, you know, they lifted it, then they introduced it again. So I think it's very unfortunate, but we must admit the fact that it shows how weak we are as a country, that if a country like UAE, that just started emerging in 1971, you know, a new country of about 7 Emirates that came together. At a time, Nigeria was far, far better than UAE, and we could have called their bluff, but for the fact that we appear to need UAE more than they probably need us. So, but I don't think this ban can be sustained for too long, because at the end of the day, the Emirates airline also need Nigeria in one way or the other for economic reasons.
As people will say, I get them before.
That's
what Wale Adeoye is saying.
Yeah.
That Nigeria used to.
Used to.
Because when you go to Tony, if you go to Dubai now, even people from across the world, that is the next destination. Diplomatically, don't you think Nigerian government were meant to sit down?
I think they will sit. They will sit down. What shocked me was that reversal.
Emirates.
48 hours. You know, and another thing that shocked me is the fact that even government is not even saying anything. I believe something happened for them to lift it and reverse it in 48 hours. Something happened. I would expected the Minister of Foreign Affairs to be talking to us like this and this happened, and we're looking into it. This silence is not golden at all. People need to know, because I know a lot of people who are waiting for this travel to be lifted, and we're jubilating the moment they heard the announcement. Just when they were preparing, they heard the ban again. So we need proactive government. We need proactive officials of government who will be on their beat 24/7. Information is key. Right now, people don't even know what happened, and that's the most painful part of it. We need to know what happened. Why did UAE reverse that ban immediately 48 hours after?
Because we discussed it yesterday. I think
you see that I would have said let's apply the policy of reciprocity, but we cannot, because we don't even have the ground to do that. You know, so it gives us that's the lesson we need to take from it. We have to start doing things right. Otherwise, just as Wale said, from the position of strength, they're punching us, and we can't do anything.
Now, these people, they used to go to Lebanon before. They used to go to Lebanon for their health facility. We were told that even at a point in time, they used to come to University of Ibadan for the health facility.
Even the royal family in some of the Middle East countries used to come to UCH.
It took
in the 70s.
And they had to sit down, put their act together. Now Dubai is now the destination for everybody, even all over Europeans that want to come on holiday and everything. Why can't we make Nigeria a better place so that people want to come here to the way
take us back to what it used to be before?
It just shows that we are moving backward instead of moving forward, and at a very fast rate. We need to learn from UAE. You know, we need to learn from their constitution. You know, it's a country that recognizes some level of regional autonomy for the 7 Emirates
yes.
that came together. And even though it's an Arab world, and in the Arab world, there are all sorts of questions about free speech, but UAE has provided an alternative for a lot of freedom in so many aspects. So, and then in terms of autonomy for the 7 regions that made up
Abu Dhabi and Co.
Yes, it's able to create a kind of a flourishing country where people can realize.
So today they don't need to go to Lebanon for again. Everything is in their country.
Is the emerging power.
Tourism.
You see skyscrapers everywhere. Nigerians are dying to go to UAE, and it was not like this before. So I hope our leaders can learn and then reverse the ugly trend.
I pray.
Learn and reverse the ugly trend. I want to thank you, gentlemen. Wale Adeoye, thank you for your contribution.
Thank you.
And Tony Waji, it's been a while.
Thank you, Ayo.
Thank you, contribution.
Thank you so much. Good to see you again.
Madam, and
definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. Don't forget to join us on Sunday from 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Zubakun. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.